did a story on this last night. I try to combine 3 different stories into one and then put my own spin on it. So the Lucha Brothers remain under AEW contract despite WWE interest. Penta's deal is expiring soon. The ongoing saga of the Lucha Brothers, obviously Pentagon and Rey Fenix, and their rumored WWE departure rumored departure to WWE has taken yet another twist. While both stars have been linked to with a potential move to WWE for months, it appears that AEW is holding on to the high-flying duo for a little bit longer, as injury clauses and extended contracts have kept the two under AEW's control. Yeah, so we all thought that these guys were out of AEW, and they were leaking to the media that they were on their way to the WWE. WrestleVotes, we reported it here a couple weeks ago, but WrestleVotes talked about it. Well, he reported it. I talked about his report. I should speak clearly on that. I don't want anybody to think that I'm a reporter. But WrestleVotes even said that, yeah, they're so locked in that they already have like creative designs and all kinds of stuff, like T-shirts are being made, and they're going straight up to the main roster. And it turns out all of that. Now, I'm not saying he was lying, but Wrestling Observer reported that a few months has been added to Penta's deal due to injury time, and that Phoenix had substantially more, and it could be for Rey Fenix up to a year. So Rey Fenix could potentially have to stay with the company until spring of 2026. So it could be even over a year. So, because Rey Fenix has dealt with several injuries over the past few years, causing him to miss significant time in 2021, 2022, and most recently, a 6-month period from October 2023 to June 2024. So there's been kind of a legal battle going back and forth. Ibu from Wrestle Purist shed light on the complexity of the situation, saying Phoenix, he was unsure of what would happen, and at one point thought he was in the clear and would be allowed to go. He will not. To tell you how hairy the situation is, Penta on at least 2 occasions thought he was free, only for AEW legal to inform him that he is not. So the AEW is doing to the Lucha Brothers what WWE did to so many people, and kind of holding on to them even when they want to leave. Now, we can debate about the morality of that, but what we can't debate on is whether or not they have the right to do that, and they do. If they were to ask me my opinion, if Tony were to ask me my opinion, I'd be like, brother, just let these dudes go. It's just going to be nothing but headaches and trouble for you. But I do think they add something to WWE, so you would be helping out your competitor. But at the end of the day, I don't really think it's a significant thing. Not like Miro, no help to the competitor whatsoever. You let that motherfucker go, not a big deal. Lucha Brothers, man, I think they could do some damage in WWE. Now it's whether or not they're willing to get behind them, but I think, Pentagon specifically has like the kind of charisma that the WWE likes. So that one's a tough one. So it's not so black and white. But when WWE was doing that to people, adding all this injury time on, and they didn't want it, and TNA did the same thing. TNA did the same thing to people. They did it to I think they've done it to Josh Alexander. They did it to Heath. And so this is just a thing that wrestling companies do. They have the right to do that. If they're paying you while you're injured, you have to come back and fulfill your dates. You can't just go anywhere you want. But I was always on the side of the workers. Let the workers go. And I'm still on that side. I am. If they want to leave. Now, the injury clause can actually be beneficial to the workers if they want to stay. Like if they're not looking to leave, like, okay, cool. No, I'm still locked in. Like, hey, I'm hurt now, but I'm not going to lose my job right when I get back because they're going to tack on injury time and they're still going to continue to pay me. And I get to fulfill more dates. So like, in a way that can be a positive depending on your outlook. Like if you want to leave and you're ready to hit free agency, that could screw you up. I think there has to be a clause on both sides. Like where they can come to an agreement. It's like, hey, look, you have all this injury time on, but here's what we can do X, Y, Z, and then you can get out at this date. Something's got to happen, but I think it's weird to just hold on to talent for like a year. So like a full year. I think that's a bit weird. And especially when that talent does not want to be in your company, like when they're ready to go do something else and they're ready to go be happy somewhere else, I think you should just figure out a way to make that move, because I think you can't give up the moral high ground to WWE. And like technically you never can, because of the horrific things that have happened in that company under the Vince regime. And then there's still people there that were a part of that regime that overlooked a lot of that stuff. And so like you never really can, but at this moment, like WWE is kind of like baby facing themselves to all the workers and to the fans, really, and they're starting a PR campaign, and you don't do yourselves any favors when you're doing stuff like that. So if I were AEW, I'd just figure out a way to let them go. Okay, and you don't have to do it outright. Just be like, hey, look, come on, guys, let's work this out. I need you to make these towns. Okay, you need to lose to these people, and I'll give you a clean sheet. Boom, January 1st, you guys are good to go. Okay, but I think holding on to Phoenix for like a year and a half, I don't think that's cool. If Phoenix really wants to leave, now this might. I really do think that this is a whole thing perpetrated by Konnan. I don't have any evidence to back this up. I'm just me reading the situation. I read all the reports on it. I've listened to all the different opinions, and so I'm just kind of like basing my opinion off of all those different things. But this very much reads like a situation where Konnan leaked all this information about the Lucha Brothers having a deal with WWE and them wanting to be there and them being unhappy in AEW, knowing full well that AEW had the right to extend these contracts to make Tony look bad and to put pressure on him and to get like a media campaign and a fan campaign to put pressure on AEW to let him go. I think that is a real possibility. Konnan is like savvy, like as far as political, and knows how to work it. And I think he overplayed his hand about how much power he really has. And it just didn't work out. And look, billionaires are petty, man, and they're locked in a war. And I think he underestimated just how petty AEW can be. WWE's petty, so is AEW, so is TNA. They're all like, they're going to hold on to their talent, and they're going to try to hold them to their contracts. And I think they're kind of setting a precedent here. Again, I may not like it, but it's just the way that the business is working. So I did want to get that story out of the way because I don't know when I'm going to get to talk about it. And so I thought I'd go ahead and just talk about it here on Brace for Impact with you guys. Let's see. So yeah, go to the Patreon. I actually did a pretty decent, like longer form, very detailed story on it. And I pulled from Sean Rossap, from Dave Meltzer, from Ibu, kind of combined the three stories together. And then I closed it with my opinions on the situation. So please go take a look at that and throw down some comments on there if you guys agree or disagree with me. That would mean a lot to me. All right. So let's get to our next story. And chat, I will get chat before we get to the next story. I'm gonna get to the chat. Let's see. Billy says injury time added is at the discretion of the company, so those contracts are so one-sided. Yeah, they're not treated as independent contractors in that moment. So it's like telling your plumber, it's like, nope, you got hurt and you missed an appointment, so you gotta stick around. Io says if you love someone, you let them go. I very much the way I'm reading this situation and like the fan backlash, it really depends on which side of the fence you're on. It's very Democrat Republican. AEW is doing it and the AEW fans support them. It's like, which billionaire are you supporting in the moment that they're doing the thing that you typically don't like the other side to do? And then you somehow twist yourself into a pretzel to justify their actions. And I'm like, I try to be very in the middle on this stuff, you know? And so when WWE does something that I don't like, if AEW does that exact same thing, I reserve the right to not like that too, because I am not in the pocket for either company. I'm not in the pocket of TNA. I thought they should let Josh go. I was glad they didn't because I'm a fan of his. But when TNA extended Josh, I didn't think that was cool either because he wanted to go. He wanted to go, but you sign the contract and you're a grown up and you agree to that not only to the injury time, it's written in there, the language is in there, but you also agree to the option. So when they pick up your option, and he's not complaining, but he did leak the information to the media, hoping that he could put pressure on the company to let him go, and they just didn't bite. And he has been a professional ever since then, and he's fucking tapped out twice to Joe Hendry in the same match. They killed him dead, but that's what happens. So hold on, sweet coffee for Josh. So yeah, let's see. Billy says, crazy to think about MLB or NFL adding injury time, benefits of collecting bargaining in a union. Yeah, well, Hulk Hogan killed any semblance of a union we could have possibly had in pro wrestling in the 1980s when Jesse Ventura tried to start one. Let's see. Io says, a few AEW fans in my group chat blaming Konnan. Konnan is their mentor. He is their agent. He is the one doing all this. They're like, this is like, I mean, ultimately, Pentagon and Phoenix are grown men, and they are responsible for their own decisions. But Konnan is the guy that kind of like guides their careers. Like he has been guiding them since they were kids. So Konnan is very much in this. Dre, I can't say these words, so I'll just put it up here. But he said they didn't do that for Heath. That was a sympathy year. No, he tore his ACL, and they kept him on for an extra year. Like they legitimately did it, and then they let him go. But for Heath, they were doing Heath a favor. Like that was one of those times where like the injury clause actually helps the wrestler because he didn't have anywhere else to go, and so they paid him while he was hurt. And then they kept him on. So he actually got like another year of wages. And now what is he doing? Nothing. All right. Konnan definitely waging an anti-AEW campaign since the CMLL agreement with AEW. Yeah. Konnan and Tony Khan are not on good terms. It's been that way ever since FTR lost the AAA tag team titles to Dragon Lee. And I cannot remember his partner's name off the top of my head, so forgive me. And then immediately afterwards, AAA announced that Dragon Lee had signed with WWE. AAA announced it in the ring and congratulated him. And then they vacated the titles, and then he went to WWE on a win over AEW talent. Now, did it do anything negative to anybody? No. Did it create any perception? No. Like, it was not 1985. The shit doesn't matter anymore. But it was definitely designed to fuck with AEW. And it was AAA trying to get themselves in a position to be able to work with WWE.